In this video, I'm going to demo McLaw Software Solutions Interlinear Enabler. We designed this tool so that a human glosser could go through a text and provide glosses for each word in that text. In this case, we're looking at the Greek text of the NA28 New Testament and the English Standard Version, or ESV. The Greek text appears one word per row in this column right here, and the English is over here on the right. And these matching lines and colors signify which English words go with which Greek words. This is part of our text alignment data that I discuss in another video available on our website under text alignment. And for more details on this presentation, I would encourage you to go to that video and watch it. In this case, though, we're not trying to align text. We're trying to gloss each Greek word in the New Testament. And the way that we designed this tool really helps with this task in two main ways. The first is the visual presentation. So as I'm looking through the Greek text, I can see very quickly what the Greek words mean vis-a-vis the translation over on the right. But on the left, I also have this column here of contextual glosses that I'll be editing, as well as lemmas, morphology codes, context-free glosses, and previous glosses that I've chosen for this word. This information is really helpful, especially the morphology codes and the lemmas, because I'm going to want to be consistent with the way that I treat each of these types of information in my English glosses. Now, to give you a sense of how this glossing tool works, I think it's best just to go through and gloss some words. And first, I'll go slowly and explain more of what I'm doing, and then I'll speed up to show you what it's like for someone who has some experience with the tool and how fast they can actually work using it. But the other piece of information that I need to explain first, that's really the driving power of this tool, is the algorithmic glosses that appear here in this column. So they're gray right now because I have not approved them or edited them in any way. These have just been selected based off of the algorithm running in this tool, trying to choose the best English gloss that it thinks that I'm going to choose. Now, that choice is based off of several types of information, some of which we can see here on the screen, such as the surface forms over in the English translation based on the text alignment, as well as the lemmas and morphology codes, the context-free glosses, etc. But the most important piece of information is here, this final one on the left, the previous glosses. So actually, as I go through the text, providing glosses for Greek words, the algorithm improves because it gets better and better at choosing the kinds of things that I would choose. So let's show you how this works. I'm not going to read every single word and explain it in detail. I'll stop on the ones that I think need changes. So it happened, and in the days these to go, okay, exalthane has X on the front of it, which doesn't just mean go, but means something more like to go out. So I want to add that there. To go out him to the mountain. And now say mountain is a good gloss here, but say I wanted to change it. I can type just as I did before, or I can actually come over and double click on anything I see over here, just to show you a nice little feature that can avoid typing in some cases. But we'll keep it as mountain. To pray, and he was being. Okay, he was being sounds pretty weird in English. I think we just want it to be he was. Spending. Now here it's not spending like spending money, it's spending time, and specifically spending the night, as nuked appears right here. It's a Greek word Greek root for night right there. In the prayer of God. Now, grammatically, this is sort of okay because we have a genitive, the prayer of God, but that conveys something slightly different in English, and I think we want to follow more what the ESV has done over here, prayer to God. So I'm going to change these prepositions from of to to. Now, one potential reason why I might not want to do that is that this could look more like I'm trying to convey the dative somehow instead of the genitive. I could click over here on the row for God to see how I've handled the genitive for God everywhere else. So this brings up some detailed information over here on the left, which is a little overwhelming at first, but basically I have biblical references, morphology codes, contextual glosses, so these are the ones that I'm editing, shortened versions of those contextual glosses, and then some information about the text alignment. And you'll see that not all of these contextual gloss rows are filled in. So in canonical order, it looks like I've done everything, up to Luke chapter 6 somewhere. But say I wanted to see how I've handled the nouns in the genitive case. So I can sort by this morphology column here, and then come over. Okay, so there are my datives, and I do have things like to God there. I think I want a 2-level sort. Let's come down to the genitive and see what we've glossed for the genitive. There's our dative. Okay, here's where the genitive starts. There's a bunch of ones that haven't been glossed all the way through the end of the canon, and then we'll get to some that we have. So just plain God, then we have in God, of God, and then to God. Okay, so it is kind of a loner here, and this would be the sort of thing that once I've provided glosses for the entire New Testament, I might come back and check and see, do I really want to do that here, because it's kind of an outlier. My sense is yes, that I probably do. But this detailed pane over here can be used not just to get more information about choices that have been made in other contexts, but also to provide post-processing checks kind of on the back end. We'll keep going. Like everything else, other than the ones we've edited, and I'll click Approve Algorithmic Glosses, and all of those turn to white. So they've been accepted, and now they'll be used by the automatic glossing algorithm. So the next verse, we have, and when it came day. Okay, now day is not actually moving, and so I think my convention is to say came about. It became day. So we'll change that. He called, okay, once again we have this little preposition kind of added to the verb, and I prefer to have something that signals that. So he called forward the disciples his, and having selected to himself. We see the English has chose over here, which I think is a fine word, so let's use that. Having chosen for himself. From them 12, whom and, okay, this is not really a conjunction here, but Kai is functioning adverbally, so I think we want to have whom also apostles he named. Everything else looks really pretty good to me. We'll approve it and move on. He named Simon, whom, once again, not whom and he named, but whom also he named Peter, and Andrew the brother his, and James, and John, and Philip, and Bartholomew. Now you'll notice that the algorithm works really, really well with simple things like and proper nouns. That's to be expected. So on this verse, I only needed to change one thing. I can quickly move on. And Matthew, and Thomas, and James, so there's the genitive here of Alphaeus, and Simon, the being called Zealot. Now all of this looks pretty much okay, except for you'll see that Zealot is considered to be kind of a proper noun by the ESV, and so I probably prefer to capitalize this here, signifying that it has a special meaning, Zealot. And then 6:16, okay, and Judas of James, and Judas Iscariot, who it became traitor. Now, it's not, the subject here is Judas, so of this relative pronoun, and so we don't want it, but he became. And just to clarify what these parentheses are doing, they're kind of signaling that there's no explicit subject in the Greek. This relative pronoun hos is acting as the subject. But our English glosses, we want to have subjects for them because that's required in English. Okay, we move on to Luke 6:17, and we come to a new pericope. And I'm going to go through this and make the changes that I would make kind of at the speed that I would normally do it. So having come down with them, he stood on, we don't want of place, on place level place, and crowd great of disciples his, and multitude great of the of people from, not from of all, just from all the Judea, and not of Jerusalem, but just Jerusalem, and the seacoast of Tyre and of Sidon. Looks good. Let's approve it. Who they came to hear him, and not to heal, but to be healed. This is a passive infinitive. To be healed of the diseases there, and the troubling sorrowful. That sounds a little weird. I think we want something more like the ones being troubled. and you're not troubled from something, but you're troubled by something. By spirits unclean. Let's get rid of those prepositions that are unnecessary. And here we have the subject expressed, so I think we want to say they in parentheses, and the ESV says cured, which is a fine gloss, so we can use that as well. Okay, let's approve those and move on to 619. And all the crowd, they were seeking to touch him because power from him. Now the power is not animate, so we want it was coming, and he was healing all. Okay, there we go. Now, I hope that this process of watching me first go through and kind of explain exactly what I'm doing with the glossing and now going more quickly shows you just how quickly someone who has a little bit of experience with this tool can just go through the Greek text, look at the English translation, look at the other information, and make quick, responsible decisions about how these words should be glossed. Thanks for watching.